Young ladies and gentlemen, on this day of April 13th, 2025, the very day of Palm Sunday, Russia has done the unimaginable on Ukrainian soil. The images are chilling. It's sad what is happening. What happened in the strategic Ukrainian city of Soumy is truly... No one could have thought that Russia could operate in this way. The United States of America is overwhelmed. That is to say, okay, when you see the images, I believe you have already seen many of these images. Unfortunately, I cannot post these images here, as the platform will automatically censor us. Yes, the images are unbearable. So, today, Russia is sending ballistic missiles into a residential area. We learned that it was an award ceremony for the 117th Ukrainian Brigade, which distinguished itself, according to the Ukrainian army, in the fights against Russia at the front. And this is perhaps what Russia did not appreciate. So Russia decided to send a ballistic missile to the location. Unfortunately, during this award ceremony, there were people who were invited, according to what we are receiving. In any case, information is coming from everywhere. And sometimes we are told that it was not at the award location. Sometimes we are told that it was at the award location. But what remains clear, at the award location, there were civilians who were invited. The military personnel in question who were receiving the award had invited their parents, their friends, their relatives, and all that. So, according to Ukrainian media, it is the award ceremony location that was targeted. But the damage is enormous, ladies and gentlemen. Never has Russia caused so much damage in a city center like what happened in Soumy. For those who don't know, the city of Soumy is the strategic Ukrainian city, from which Ukraine's most trained soldiers moved with NATO troops to go to the Russian region of Kursk. And since they went, they have not been able to turn back. So, it is an extremely strategic city. So what is happening? Let's go with the official information. According to the official information, we have that in Soumy, this missile strike was carried out during the award ceremony for the 117th Brigade. Ukrainian troops who distinguished themselves in battles against the Russian army. Former Ukrainian deputy Igor Mosishchuk clearly stated that the purpose of the Russian attack on Soumy was the award ceremony for the fighters of the 117th Brigade. But the regional authorities had invited civilians. The event including children, etc. So, this is the information we are receiving from a former Ukrainian deputy. Now, it must be said that it was a terrible ballistic missile attack. It happened very early this morning in the strategic Ukrainian city of Soumy. And so, what must be said is that, according to initial information, there are dozens of civilians who have been sent to eternal rest, and some were simply injured. And so, Ukraine does not understand. Even America is overwhelmed. The United States of America has broken its silence. France itself has broken its silence. So, what must be said is that when you see the images, in the images you find human beings, bodies, let's call them that, lifeless, but piled up like that. It's one of the rare times they show us. Images that the Ukrainian authorities agreed to show. Images where you can clearly see people on the ground. Otherwise, usually they say, well, they carried out an attack, but the attack was repelled. The attack was such. The Ukrainian army never agrees to broadcast the actual images from the field and doesn't even agree to acknowledge that such and such happened. So, share this video conference with me, please. So, this time they released the information. They broadcast the images. I tell you, it's very sad. We wonder, even the United States of America wonders how far Russia wants to go. So, the mayor of the Ukrainian city of Konotop known as Semakin, threatened to tell the whole truth about the Soumy attack. Today, at 6 p.m., he's expected to make a statement. I mean, on this April 13, 2025, at 6 p.m., he is expected to make a statement. He called for the head of the OVA to resign. Very angry, he says, "I am now addressing." To this governor, he used a term that is an insult, which I do not want to repeat. He is asking the governor of the Soumy region, who is called Artuk, to resign. And it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. What needs to be said is, and the Ukrainian embassy in France describes this attack as terrible and believes that only, there you go, oh, I find it. So he says that only monsters can act like this. So the Ukrainian embassy in France says that the world must react firmly. The United States, Europe, all those who want peace must react immediately and firmly. The Ukrainian embassy in France says that Russia continues its terror and seeks to prolong the war. So that's what they say, that it is Russia that wants to prolong the conflict, while they themselves were the first to violate. But it's fire. I had told you here, for all those who follow me here, I had told you when they were violating, I had told you that they were violating. For the moment, no one is speaking. But it is when Russia will step out and act that they will say, no, Russia is violating human rights, etc., etc., etc. And obviously, in war as in war, what is happening or what happened in Sudan, it's very sad. Honestly speaking, Zelensky, we know, he no longer understands anything. But Soumy, what Soumy has experienced is serious. So, the Ukrainian embassy in France says that without pressure on Russia, there will be no peace. Words have never stopped missiles. Russia must be treated as what it is, a terrorist state. So, here is what the Ukrainian embassy in France says about Russia. They all agree on the option of using coercive force, military force against Russia. Because for them, if they do not use force, Russia will not calm down. Words alone do not stop missiles. That means only missiles can stop missiles. And in any case, what happened today is very serious. The United States, very overwhelmed, broke their silence and severely condemned the act that Russia committed. In the next video conference, we will see the reaction of the United States of America. There you have it, and we will decipher. Thank you all. This was the voice of your one and only samurai.